So, um, an introduction about me. Basically, I'm a data scientist, and I am a Tanzanian, so data scientist, homegrown talents, and I have an experience to working with both Europe and East Africa. I did my master's in University of Manchester. Then before that, I actually worked at Deloitte for more than 7 years. So I've worked for Deloitte as a data analyst. I've worked for Avado as well in London as a data subject matter expert, where I was responsible to deliver data analytics boot camps to different people in the UK. I've led sessions in the University of Buckingham and many more universities in the UK regarding data science and analytics. So I'm quite experienced in this area. Then I've worked with BAE Systems again in the UK. It's a security system company, and what I was basically doing there is building AI models to detect presence of ships in satellite images. As you all know, why we need AI is because we need to automate repetitive tasks. So if I give you an image and it tell you to identify a ship from that image, you could possibly do with one image, but satellite images, you get 100,000 of them per second. So there's no one who will do that manually, but you could deploy AI models to do that job for you. So so we're well excited to welcome you on board on this program. So the agenda of today that I'll be going through first is basic introduction of data and data analytics. Where can you apply data analytics? What tools could you use? And um, concepts like big data and data science, we'll go briefly about them. Then we'll see an introduction to ARA. Then from there, I'll leave it to Jose to introduce you to ARA and many more concepts. So straight to the point, what is data? So it's really a common word, data, and data is actually a new oil, but data refers to any facts or statistics collected together. It might be in form of text, numbers, images, audios, video, etc. for analysis. So most people would actually confuse data relates to only numbers, but you still have a lot of things that you could consider as data, including unstructured data like images, audios, video, and texts. And basically, we collect this data and we analyze it to get meaningful information that helps organizations or different people to make informed decisions. Now, every time you interact or you do an event, you create data. So imagine I'm a huge fan of football, and I've lived in Manchester. So, like, take an example, a football match. So it's an event. So from that event, you'll collect a lot of information. When did the match start? How many goals were scored? What was the crowd size, etc. So all those facts can actually be referred to data. Some good examples of data will be customer records, student records, population records, or actually a paragraph of Alice in the Wonderland book. So that's basically text data. Now, to have data is one thing, but you might not extract the actual meaning or value of the data if you are not performing data analytics. And when we say data analytics, is simply a process of converting the raw data into useful information. And that useful information helps businesses and leaders to make informed decisions. Now, having data only is not enough. You need to do analysis to provide and to produce information. And that's why we are running this kind of course. We want to take you through the journey of converting raw data into useful or meaningful information. Now, this is typically an example that is used here. You have your input data, then you have your process where you process the data and change it to actual information. So what we'll be learning is how you process the data and extract a meaningful analysis from that data, because this is actually the real gold or the real asset which everyone in the industry needs. But they're only given a raw data, so you need to undergo a few processes there to convert that into useful information. Now, a good example here, if you go to a doctor in the hospital and a doctor takes records of 3 patients, A, B, and C, and the doctor records their weight and height. Now, weight and height of a patient is actually data to a doctor, but it's not useful because a doctor cannot make any informed decision using your weight and height only. But a doctor needs to do a processing of data and calculate the BMI, which is the body mass index. And the body mass index actually tells the doctor more about you. So if you have a BMI less than 18, you are an underweight. But if you have a BMI between 18 and 25, patient B, that is a normal weight. Or patient C having a BMI of 35, that will be considered as an overweight because the BMI is above 25. Now, this is a very simple example where actual data highlighted in black is processed with a block highlighted in gray to an actual information to a block highlighted in green. So that's typically a very simple example on data analysis. Now, why do we actually need data analysis? So we say data is the new oil, and it plays a very crucial part in helping businesses to make good decisions. So there are type of examples if you want to understand more about your customers, your customer demographics, you want to understand the seasonality of sales, and this is really important. For example, if you're running a supermarket and you want to understand how do different products move throughout the time, so you know what products to restock at what point, and it helps you to be more efficient and productive in your business. And you could compare two different marketing campaigns using data analysis. You could also use that to cut operational cost and be more efficient. Few companies or examples that use data analytics include Amazon, Netflix, and banks. So we basically know if you watch Netflix, they will give you recommendations of movies, and those recommendations are based on what you have watched before. So yeah, so I can see from the chat most of people are saying are beginners, and that is fine. This bootcamp is actually targeted, even if you're a beginner and you don't have any experience in programming, don't worry, you will be on board. And let me know if there's any questions in the chat. So data visualization. Now, we mentioned that data is collection of raw information. So if I display this table here, you can actually see this is a table of population and city for different cities in the UK. And if I ask you what city in the has the highest population, could you just let me know in the chat what city has the highest population there?
London.
London. So that is clear because you went through the data, right? So
sure.
Now here's something interesting here. We have about 8 cities, I think 8 or 9. So imagine if I had 2,000 cities here and I ask you what city has the largest population. You wouldn't eyeball the data. You'd need some sort of sorting or analysis or visualization for you to be able to determine. So that's why we need to develop or create visuals that present the data. So between this visual and this data, you can actually see it's quite easy to detect or to know London has the highest population here, and you can actually know Southampton has the lowest here, if Southampton or Newcastle, either of those. So when you present data into visual, it just actually helps you to make more quicker and more accurate decisions. And that is why people need data analysts, data scientists to be able to translate this information into meaningful visuals. Now, there is a problem where I've worked personally in Tanzania and had some clients in financial industry. They wanted to get to transform their strategies to be data-driven, but some of the projects failed. I think it's because of not going to the basics. And one thing that is a pitfall would be incomplete or poor quality data. So you might have data that is incomplete, that has missing values. So you need to know how to exactly handle this kind of data. Data is not actually always clean. You need to clean it before you process it. As well, before doing a data analysis, you need to define your clear business objectives. And you need to design. There's no like a one solution fit all. So you cannot design a data solution that fits everything to every organization. These projects should be particularly tailored to your solution, and you should test them. So you should not like run a data analysis project only for experimentation or something like that. You need to have a clear vision or strategy. And the other thing is absent of talent, and I would really like to emphasize on this. And the major reason for this bootcamp as well is to grow that talent, to grow the skills in terms of data. I've seen how much the gap is in the UK. There's a lot of people who are very eager to learn data, but there's no actually enough talents to train them, no enough mentoring and everything else. So I think this is a very great thing if we bring it to Tanzania as well and make sure that we grow these talents. And as well as any other projects, lack of fund would be a barrier if there's no enough funding on that. Now, the main bootcamp here we are dealing is ARA. So what is actually ARA? So ARA was actually invented in 1993 by Ross, and it's a language for statistical computing and data visualization that is used by data analysts and data scientists. And I must mention that ARA is very unique in terms of the industry that they use. ARA is used in fintech, research, retail, data journalism, social media, and healthcare. So most of the people that I know, they would use ARA in healthcare. I have a few connectional colleagues that use ARA in statistical testing in clinical trials. So they use a lot of ARA for that purpose. And in terms of industry, so you can actually see here Academic Tops uses a lot of ARA. So this research is based on the US and in the UK in 2017, and most academicians would have used ARA followed by healthcare and government. So you can actually see if you are in these top 5 areas, you would actually use ARA in most of your times, but nonetheless, it's not limited. So can actually use it into any other fields. Now, how data science can be used in healthcare. So as I mentioned earlier, you could use AI to predict diseases. You can use it to personalize treatment plans or optimize hospital resources. For example, using AI to detect early stage of cancer from medical images. So you can actually use these um, uh, deep learning methods or convolution networks. We shall learn more about this. So these are deep learning models that are used to detect or used to go through images and tell you if an image has a pattern that indicates cancer in human body. And so a lot of detection of diseases, treatment planning to create a special tailored plan based on your requirements. So you can optimize hospital resources, staffing, scheduling. You can actually use it for drugs and discovery and development, as I mentioned earlier, in research and development, clinical trials, and everything else. They do use a lot of data science to perform their task. Now, you can actually see a simple illustration here. It's a doctor, so you have health data, and that health data is fed to a predictive analytics model, and predictive analytics model tells you how to improve your efficiency or what to actually recommend based on the data that has been analyzed.
So as you can see, we have that is our schedule for today. So the idea was to start with the introduction of the program and to just for fun, to learn on some fun facts about data. And then the next session was to be conducted by Brighton, which has just ended. And Brighton has introduced himself and shared his experience, as well as just kind of trying to give us the introduction of data science and everything. And I'm quite sure that you have at least got the understanding of a little difference which is there between data analysis and data science. So our course is going to be data analysis, and we are doing this because we believe that data analysis is the foundation of data science. And then we'll go to pass through the program, the overview, And then we are going to, from there, we are going to get our hands dirty. That means we are going to start working with our software. I shared can you guys see the screen? I just want to make sure if you guys see the screen. Just anyone can tell me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Thanks so much. So I shared the guide, a quick guide, which could help you to download and install Ara and RStudio. And then I hope some of you have already done, if not all of you. And then from there, we will start with the presentation of just basically to know about the RStudio and R in general, the structure and the layouts. And then from there, we're going to start speaking the language of R in terms of writing the codes. And I've seen from the response from Brighton that most of us here are beginners. And that is going to be the assumption because we wanted to create a very strong foundation. And this is why this is because I know this is one of the biggest challenges that face people who want to learn data science or data analysis, especially with programming. So we are going to create a basic foundation from the first code, like just we start from zero, and then we'll see how it goes. I hope it's gonna be very well. So we'll do some code practice, and then at the end of the day, we're going to have Q&A. It is said less than 0.5% of all the data we create is ever analyzed and used. So as you can see, this is one of the things that Brighton has said in his presentation, that we have a lot of data, but we're not analyzing them. As you can see, it's a very small percent of data which is being analyzed for different reasons, just like how it has been discussed by Brighton in the previous session. That could be funding, could be also having talents and people who can do it, and also a general understanding of the importance of analyzing data. Right now, so many organizations and companies, they really want data scientists because they know that there is an importance of doing that. But it's very surprising to know that it's only 0.5% of data that is being generated, is being analyzed. So I just want to ask a quick question to everyone. You can either answer me by writing on the chat or by just saying, you can just unmute yourself and say, do you think right now, as we are doing this session, what kind of data are we generating? What kind of data are we generating? Just think of anything and tell me. You can type, you can say anyhow. Nothing on the chat. Dovera. Amos, yeah, audio and text data. That's very true. That's quite true. Yes. Anything else? Descriptive data, Anthony, thank you. But we can go more specific, like what thing. Okay, let me give an example. For instance, we are spending time here, so we are also generating the yes, credit hours on the course. Perfect. Demographic of participants, that's true, Stephen. Online data, yes, we are using some internet here. Everyone is using some MBs from their devices. Anything else? We are also burning some calories here, I guess. But also we are, yeah, we are also producing some carbon dioxide, I guess. We are also consuming some oxygen. You know, all these informations. So at the end of the day, how can you take advantage of this data? Engagement data, thank you, Msuya. How can we take advantage of this data? That's why we need to have data analysis skills, and that's why we are here in this course. My name is Joseph Atihema. I'm a pharmacist. My first degree was a Bachelor of Pharmacy from Muimbiri University, and my master's degree was in Health Data Science in the United Kingdom as well. Data science, but basically focusing on health data. So I did my master's in Swansea. There's a small town in the United Kingdom in Wales called Swansea. There's a university called Swansea University. I did my master's there, and maybe the highlight of my experience was working with the SAIL data bank. So it's a repository in the university, in Swansea University, which is a collection of health data all over Wales. It's based in Swansea University. So that was my first opportunity to actually deal with a lot of data, which is real life data. And there is so much fun and also work when you are dealing with real life data because there is so much noise and dirty. And one of the things which we're going to do in our course is to learn how we can clean data. But also from my experience there, most of the projects that I was doing were based in machine learning models, prediction models for infectious and non-infectious disease. But when I finished my master's, I started working with, first of all, the organization called Tanzania AI Community. So I was dealing there with the artificial intelligence projects in her sector. But also I'm working as a consultant, as a data analyst in 2 different NGOs here in Tanzania. But my main work right now, I'm working with the Ministry of Health and in supply chain capacity. So my work involves supply chain monitoring, which is pretty much about supply chain data analysis and decision making. But I'm also involved in different kind of research projects in the area of antimicrobial resistance, artificial intelligence, as well as supply chain data. So the first thing that we are going to do from our schedule is I will share the timetable, and we are going to pass through it so that we get the general better understanding of what we are going to do in this course. So our program is going to run from April to June. So that is 3 months. And I just would like to encourage everyone to make sure that you attend every session. The programs are going to be run in Saturdays, just like today, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And as you can see, in April, we are going to start with the foundation, which we have kind of already started. We're going to set up the software today and test the codes. We have already done now we are doing the program overview, but we have already started the introduction to data science and programming with R. Then next Saturday, we are expecting to start doing the so-called decision making with R. So before you make decisions, you have to know data types, the types of data you have, the variables, and also the conditional statements and the loops. Some of them we are going to just briefly see them today. And then the next Wednesday, we are going to deal with data structures, just getting to know more about data structures. As I've said, some of these issues, we are going to briefly pass through them today, but in deep, we are going to learn more about them in the coming weeks. And we are going to make sure that we will be using real life data. So maybe today we are not going to have a real life data set, but from next week, we are going to do that. And I encourage everyone to make sure that you are here with and you use your computer, because we want to make sure that everyone is getting engaged. That is the way you learn data science. You don't learn data science by just looking at the presentation. Mostly, that is one of the biggest mistakes of learning data science. We want everyone to get engaged, everyone to code. Yes, and then the next week we'll get more into packages and data frames, shaping data, just generally to know how to deal with data, to flexibilize and try to be versatile with it. And then we'll get into some statistics of data distribution. Then in May, we'll get into data wrangling. Some people call it data cleaning, data manipulation, all those kind of stuff. And then we'll start to the basic of visualizations. Then the next 2 weeks, we'll go deeper into different kind of visualizations, from the simple one that some of them we can even see them today, and then we'll go into more complex ones. Yes, and then May has got 5 Saturdays, which is a good thing for all of us. So, and then the coming week after data visualization, we will be dealing with building interactive web applications, and also storing and sharing your R codes. So these are very important, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that everyone is able to write a project and to share a project. So you can share a project in different ways. You can share the codes You can store your code somewhere where if anyone wants to see your project, you'll be able to share just the link. Okay, my codes are here. But there are different ways of sharing the codes in forms of Ara Markdown and notebooks. So all those things. And then we'll also know how to build the interactive web application. So maybe you have created a very interesting data analysis project, and it's a project that can be used by anyone. So, for instance, I've created a few of these applications. There is an application I created about. I'll share it to you. I think I posted this on my LinkedIn about the calories calculator. So I actually created an application whereby if it happens I eat a certain type of food, the application will be able to tell me the amount of calories that I've ingested from the food and how much exercise I'm supposed to do so that I burn all those calories. So it involves me putting my first of all the food, the estimation of the calories from the food, but also putting my other information such as BMI, all those age, gender, and everything. And then at the end of the day, this application is able to tell me like, you know what, you have to run these kilometers to burn the calories that you have gotten from the food. So something like that. So maybe something like that or more interesting than that. If you create something, then you'll be able to share it to other people so that other people can also use it. And then we'll get into descriptive data analysis and exploratory data analysis. This is going to be more of hands-on exercise, and we'll be having data set, as I said. In June, which is going to be the last month, we are going to dive into data storytelling, which is a very important skill for a data analyst, because at the end of the day, we just don't want you to analyze and end up there. We want you to communicate your data. And this is going to be a very interesting session because there are different ways to do data storytelling. And most of the times when you want to do data storytelling, you want to convince the people who are watching you that what you have analyzed is important. Like, why should we listen to your data analysis story? So there are some skills we are going to learn on how to do that. And then we'll get into statistics test, which is also very important. I know most of us here, maybe we are dealing with research at some point. So it's very important to know where, like at what point does my analysis make sense? So that's when we get into statistical tests of different types. And then we'll go into regression analysis. And here we are going to deal with two types of analysis, regression analysis, linear regression and logistic regression analysis. These are one of maybe the most common regression analysis, which most of the times you come across with. And at the end, we'll go into introduction to machine learning. So Brighton has already introduced machine learning. It's a very interesting thing. We'll introduce it because machine learning is like very wide, and we'll try to see how we are going to give more opportunity for people who will be interested to learn machine learning. So the introduction will be in our last session, and then from there, we will see what is next for us. Straight to the content of this presentation right now. So the R language, the first part has already been introduced by Brighton, so I will skip that. And also we are getting into how to download and install our softwares. And then from there, we're going to learn about the layout of the R Studio, which is actually the environment that we are going to be coding. And then we're going to pass through some issues which most of the times you'll come across when you're dealing with error. So this is important for you to get to know what are the possible things and what you should do when you come across them. Then the shortcuts. So when you are coding, when you are generally working with R Studio, sometimes it's more efficient if you use the computer shortcut so that you can do some things in a simple way. And then we'll get into base R code testing. Then we'll be writing codes for the rest of the time until our session ends. And then through code testing, we'll get to know some of the most common functions. Brighton has already defined the functions, which are actually a group of codes that perform a specific task. And then we'll do a game in R. So this is going to be a game within R. So we are going to code ourselves this game, and then at the end of the day, we'll finish with Q&A. I think I should start right away because our time is really going fast. So coming to the first part,